Hello, Kyle here. Welcome back to my channel. This is a battery-powered Mac Mini paired with a wireless monitor, which is the iPad Pro. And you get the full Mac user experience over here, and you can use an Apple Pencil. I'll show you everything you need to know about this little accessory, the whole user experience, and what needs to be improved. It takes a lot of time and effort to create content like this, and the tutorial video of how to set the iPad as the only wireless display for the Mac Mini later in this video. So please consider like and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends who may be interested. I want to point out that you don't have to use an iPad for this setup. A regular 1080p or 4K portable monitor will do the job just fine and only requires one single USB-C connection to the USB-C port of the Mac Mini and will deliver power as well as the display signal in this one cable. And it's a great setup if you don't have an iPad. But if you want to use an iPad in this wireless Apple SideCar native mode, which supports touch, by the way, I have a very detailed tutorial to show you how it's done. And I will talk more about this monitor maybe in a separate video because it also supports wireless mode and it can monitor my iPhone video in vertical mode. That's a different topic. By the way, this portable monitor actually has a built-in battery and it's very lightweight. It's not pulling power from the Mac Mini. You can see the wattage consumption. It only consumes maybe 4 watts. So this is very power efficient with this monitor. Obviously, this setup is not a replacement of my laptop. However, it does give me the option to bring the Mac Mini with me when I'm trying to configure the local AI agent, for example, or whatever you want to do with the Mac Mini without having to remotely connect to it when I leave it at home, especially when there's no internet connection. Or I can use it on the plane if the battery bank usage is allowed. The Mac Mini doesn't have to be visible. You can put it in the backpack and it will still work. Just make sure it is properly ventilated. Then it becomes an even more compact setup than a laptop. Plus the touchscreen support, which does not even exist on MacBooks yet. Now I'm going to show you how I set up everything, starting from this 3D printed power adapter that turns the USB-C power input to AC power that can be used by the Mac Mini. So basically, this is a mini power inverter. It's an exact tight fit, hold down by friction, USB-C power input. You can use it without the battery, but it does not support hot swap, which means you cannot power the Mac Mini here and change the battery that way, but we're gonna improve it and make it slimmer. I got about 3 hours and 40 minutes out of this 36 watt-hour little battery bank. And I created a short video about this topic. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below in the video description. I'm using the Cooktech 10 Mini battery bank. So this holder is specifically designed for this battery. But if you don't have that battery in there, you can totally use any battery pack you want, a larger one with a longer runtime. So you wait for maybe 30 seconds, enter the password blindly. At this point, the iPad cannot be connected to the Mac Mini yet. You have to log in and use a shortcut, which I'll show you later, to invoke the iPad SideCar. I entered my username, I press tab to go to the password section. Press enter, then I should be logging in now. And based on the power consumption, it actually changed from 3 to 5 watts to around 30 watts, which means the machine is working pretty hard after the user is logged in. I'll just leave it here so you can see the power consumption change. When the power consumption drops to around maybe 5, I use my predefined shortcut key, Option Command C, to invoke the sidecar. See, I just logged in without any problem. And you can go get out of the sidecar, easily like so to use the iPad apps. As of today, if you upgrade to the iOS 27 developer preview beta version, you get this full touchscreen user experience on the macOS, and it's very accurate and responsive. This is fantastic using the iPad as a wireless monitor for the Mac Mini, and you get one finger scroll or two finger scroll. Double tap to zoom out. Apple Pencil is also supported, still supported. If you are using the previous iOS version, you will have to use the pencil because only scrolling is supported. You can use your finger to touch. So upgrade to 27. By the way, I don't recommend this Apple original iPad keyboard trackpad case for this setup because at the very beginning, you do need a keyboard to enter the password and username. That is crucial. But if you don't want to carry so many stuff, maybe you can get a foldable keyboard like so that has a trackpad. This will replace the mouse and it's a much more compact setup, very lightweight. When you close it, it turns off automatically. Therefore, I think this is a fantastic user experience, being able to interact with the macOS using touch, being able to zoom in or zoom out, or use the trackpad. If you draw a lot on the macOS, this may be a great tool for you because this pressure-sensitive tip also works in the macOS if the app supports it. Now I'm going to show you how to set up the shortcuts for the sidecar connection or disconnection. Press Option Command X to disconnect from sidecar. Option Command C to connect. Go back to the sidecar. As you can see, it works very smoothly, seamless integration from the iPad to the macOS. Even when the Mac Mini is locked somehow, the sidecar connection is still maintained. All you got to do is to re-enter the password. Now I'm going to show you how to set up your iPad as the only wireless display or wired display for the Mac Mini, and you can quickly disconnect it or reconnect it with a shortcut on your keyboard. And before doing that, you do need a physical display that is connected to the Mac Mini. And once we finish the setup process, this physical display is no longer needed unless you want to have a dual screen setup like this. You can also use this method for your MacBook if you have a damaged screen, and this can be your only monitor for that headless laptop setup. This wireless monitor feature on the iPad is called the SideCar, which is supported natively by Apple. But the catch is, it does require another display for it to function. The first step is to install this app called Better Display, so we can add a virtual display to the Mac Mini in order to simulate a physical display, so we can run the sidecar on the iPad wirelessly without having to connect to a real display. Go to the settings of this app, click Create Virtual Screen, and pick the screen ratio 4:3, which is designed for the iPad Pro in my case. This newly created virtual screen will not show up under our macOS display settings unless we toggle on the Connect this virtual screen option in the app. Also, don't forget to turn on the automatically launch on login option. This is required for everything else to work. Click the plus button to mirror the screen to the iPad. If you are using iOS 27, the touch screen works great. The iPad is now working as an extended monitor. You can also click the Arrange button to rearrange the position of the monitors to reflect where they are in the physical world. Most importantly, you need to select the iPad and set it to mirror for the virtual display. And I'm gonna rename the virtual display to Dummy. Click the Arrange button again. You can see the iPad and the dummy virtual display are stacked up, which means they are displaying the same content. At this point, even if I disconnect the physical display, the iPad would still function as a touch wireless display. But now the question is, how do I get this to work after the system reboot? Step 2. Get the SideCar Launcher command line tool from GitHub. It's a very small and easy to use app to start or stop the SideCar on the iPad of your choice. I unzipped it and saved it under my Documents folder. I recommend you do a quick test based on the instructions on their GitHub page. Copy the whole file path of the SideCar Launcher, use it with the connect plus iPad name as command. It should show connected, and the iPad should work as the display for the Mac Mini right now. Use the disconnect command to disconnect from it. You should replace the iPad Pro 13 at the end of the command with the name of your iPad, which can be set under the Settings General on your iPad. Step 3. Install the app called iCanHas Shortcut. This app allows us to use our customized key combinations to launch any app of our choice, in this case, the SideCar Launcher. Run it, find it on the menu bar, go to the Shortcuts page. It already has 2 entries, Launch SideCar and Disconnect SideCar. Simply paste in the command that we used in our previous test in the terminal into the command field. Highlight the shortcut field and press the key combinations one by one as your preferred shortcut to invoke the Launch SideCar command. You just need to make sure there is no conflict of the shortcuts you define here with any existing ones or system-wide shortcuts. Finally, go to its preferences and make sure Start on Login is checked. Let's test the shortcuts one more time. Should connect in about 2 seconds. And disconnect. If you think the text is too small, you can pick larger text. It also increases all the UI contents here. Or you can do extra small and get more things displayed on the screen. Normally, I'll just pick larger text, which is easier on the eyes. Mac Mini is rated at 65 watts maximum power consumption according to Apple's specification. Therefore, at a bare minimum, you should use a battery bank that is capable of outputting a 65 watts maximum output. I would recommend a 100 watts power bank to have more redundancy. And to be honest, this battery bank is the QuickTech Mini, which does not meet the requirement. So if I run local large language model, it will turn off if it is under heavy load. But this is more of a prototype, and the finished product would have a metal finish, slimmer design, hot swap, battery supported. All right, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe.